They tricked us, black people. They made us hate our own reflection. They turned king against king, queen against queen. But we are black Atlanteans, chosen, divine, and coded with memory and power. We don't rise by division. We rise through unity.
FBA. What is this? Y'all got some explaining to do. What do you mean Atlanta is Atlantis?
I think that everything before like 1700, 16, 15, like between that area, I think they faked all of that.
Atlanta was built over the capital of Atlantis. Our ancestors got killed.
Atlantis is a mythical lost civilization mentioned by Greek philosopher Plato. In the story, the people of Atlantis grew greedy, prideful, and corrupt. As punishment, the gods destroyed the entire civilization by sinking it under the ocean. Okay, it doesn't exist though. The story is a warning about what happens when empires become arrogant and self-indulgent.
Over their dead bodies.
If you find yourself deep in spiritual psychosis, especially when it involves one race being superior or divine or cosmically chosen, it might be time to pause to ground yourself back in reality.
Atlanta is not Atlantis, bro.
I want it to be Indians, Israelites, mermaids, aliens, anything but just acknowledging our real history.
We're seeing a deep-rooted identity crisis. Black Americans rejecting their African ancestry and instead reaching for Atlantis, mermaids, aliens, or any alternative origin that feels more powerful or mystical or chosen. You're enough as you are, regardless of your race, your ethnicity, your background. It's okay.
The lost city of Atlantis was a black civilization. The lost city connection often refers to the Minoan port town of Akrotiri on Santorini, destroyed by the Thera volcano in its association with the legend of Atlantis. This is my next source, The Last World's Mysteries.
Imagine waking up to the reality where everything you believed about your history as a black person is suddenly being challenged. Now, that's exactly what many people are debating after a surprising movement began gaining attention online. I mean, some people are now claiming that Atlanta is actually Atlantis and that black Americans are the descendants of an ancient Atlantean civilization. But others strongly reject the idea, calling it, misinformation and an attempt to replace established history. So, where did these claims, come from? Like, why are they spreading so quickly? And what evidence is being used to support them? Well, let's examine arguments, separate fact from, speculation, and hear what exactly are these people trying to share? What exactly is their message? And before we begin, please share your thoughts below and let's get started.
I think that everything before like 1700, 16, 15, like between that area, I think they faked all of that. Because when Columbus was finding America, allegedly, Rome was falling at the same time. So somebody's lying. And then there was a civilization called Tartaria that existed, its own maps. They don't teach us about it here, but when I travel abroad, especially over in Africa, they tell you about Tartary. Why are they hiding this country? Why is it that all of these ancient ruins are on the bottom of the ocean? Now, if no white human was on the planet before 7,000 years ago, that means Atlantis was built by black people then.
Had to be.
So either Antarctica is Atlantis or it's completely under the ocean. But if you are a spacefaring civilization and you traveling here, you're not going to set up shop on mainland. You're going to go inside of a mountain or at the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
Why haven't we explored more than 5% of the ocean?
The lost city of Atlantis is a black
To people who aren't aware,
civilization.
there's a location in the Western Sahara Desert of Mauritania called the Richat Structure. It's also commonly referred to as the Eye of the Sahara. What's so spectacular about this is that it just so happens to match more than a dozen striking similarities to what Plato had described as the lost ancient city of Atlantis. Plato had described Atlantis as being the capital. Let me just mention that because it was an empire said to be made up of 10 kingdoms, which was said to be made up of concentric circles, 3 of water, 2 of land, which matches the Richat structure. It also was said to have an opening to the sea at the south. You can clearly see that water had ran through it.
There's so many things, like where the water flows to the south, where there's clear evidence of water erosion that took place after the volcano. There's so much that points to that possibly being Atlantis.
If you're from West Africa or from any part of Africa, then you must understand this. Your ancestors, how did they come to start occupying the land that they are occupying? How did you come to be born in that place? And how did that nation form? You might say, well, it formed because of the British and everything, but no, there is something here that you must understand. You all are descendants of Atlantis. I am a descendant of Atlantis. You are a descendant of Atlantis. You must understand that when corruption entered into Atlantis because of the priests started dabbling in a different forms of energy, it brought down the fall of Atlantis. And when it brought down the fall of Atlantis, many of the people started migrating. Many of the teachers, many of the priests, many of the different sons of Poseidon started migrating outside of Atlantis, and they started occupying lands that is Namibia, Sudan, different part of West African area, and the major crest of it all became Egypt. That is the fact. And because they started occupying this place, and when corruption also entered Egypt, many of the ancestors or many of the people there also started migrating, and started migrating down towards the west. Then you start finding people that started occupying lands in Nigeria. You start finding people that started occupying lands in Ghana, in Benin, in different parts. They are all nothing but offspring of ancient Atlantis. Now you say, well, what do you mean ancient Atlantis? Atlantis is in the Atlantic Ocean. It is not. You must understand. It's something you must do, guys. Many people must understand this. Follow me, and I'm going to give you an explanation of how your ancestry came to be. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Bye.
According to this German archaeologist Leo Frobenius, folks from Atlantis visited West Africa in a place called Ile-Ife, which is in the southwestern part of Nigeria today. Now, why did he think that? In the early 1900s, bronzes were uncovered there, sculptures so naturalistic and so advanced, and they dated between the 12th and 15th centuries, which means Europeans had not stepped foot in that part of the world yet. And of course, any rational thinking person knows that the locals couldn't have created these sculptures. So his very logical conclusion was that the good people from Atlantis made them, despite the fact that these sculptures look exactly like the people who lived there. The faces of the people who lived in Ile-Ife that he was seeing right in front of his eyes. History speaks.
Atlanta is officially not a real place. A group of black people in Atlanta called the Federal Foundation of Black Atlanteans or something like that. They're claiming that Atlanta used to be Atlantis, the underwater city. Yep. They saw that the two words are kind of similar, so now they're claiming that they're Atlanteans. And it's crazy because I could have sworn y'all was claiming to be Native American and Hebrew. Oh, and don't forget when y'all claim to be samurais and Egyptians, bro. Like don't get me wrong, bro. I love black people. I love my black people. But sometimes y'all are just stupid. There is people gathering in Atlanta with copper crosses and copper energy mines talking about Atlanta is Atlantis, hoping that they can gather all their energy to make Atlantis rise or something. Like, that's what I heard, bro. And if y'all haven't seen the video, go ahead and look it up, bro. It's pretty stupid.
The lost city of Atlantis was a black civilization. The lost city connection often refers to the Minoan port town of Akrotiri on Santorini, destroyed by the Thera volcano in its association with the legend of Atlantis. This is my next source, The Last World's Mysteries. And I quote, "Could this extraordinary fresco be a picture of the Atlanteans? It shows ships on an expedition to North Africa, and according to legends, the Atlanteans were great seafarers. The destination is indicated by the people and animals in the painting. The fresco was uncovered in the house at Akrotiri, the ancient city found buried under volcanic debris on Santorini in 1967. Look at the people on the ships and look at the people on the island. These are black people. These are not Caucasian. This is my next source. The image of the black in the Western art. The Minoans were referred to as black, swarthy, and Negro. Pause and read. This is a black captain of the Minoan people. Pause and read. Now, it's very important to remember that the Minoans of Japhetic origin weren't the only black people on this island. You also had the Phoenicians of Shemitic origin who are black people on this island as well. And it all started with two kings, the king of Tyre, Hiram, and the king of Judea, Solomon. Let me show you that King Solomon was black. This is my next source, Tever Icons. Look at him. He is obviously black. This is my next source, Carthage. And I quote, mentions can also be made of this context, of the wealth in gold, silver, ivory, monkeys, and peacocks brought back by Solomon on the boats which his friend Hiram, king of Tyre, had obligingly permitted him to attach to the Phoenician fleet. This is my next source, The Arising History of Africa. Now look at the ships. These are Phoenician ships. Now look at the port. Look at the people on the port. They're all black. And remember, Solomon's people, Israel, were called a sea empire. And these were the same people that went and lived amongst the Minoans, making them the Atlanteans of the lost city of Atlantis.
Sunset Brother, can you tell us more about the mud floods? I think that's the missing link that the rest of us need. So, America is actually Atlantis, right? Remember, Atlantis sunk, right? We're buried. Our fucking floors is not the ground floor, right? The foundation is under layers of this shit. So if something was fucking sunken, it would be these buildings that you don't see the bottom of the fucking floors or the windows is cut out. Because mind you, the floor level never looks like ground level, right? We always like, yo, why are these windows blacked out? Why the fuck is this window cut off, right? So let's dive down, because this is something everybody be wanting to know about. So let's go over the etymology of sunken before we get into all of this shit. Sunken means to go down, to descend, to subside, to settle lower, to be engulfed or covered. Right? To be engulfed or covered. So when Atlantis sunk, didn't be destroyed, it was engulfed or covered. It was settled lower. It was subside and descended. It went down. Right? It's land, buildings. What is this? When the windows is in the basement, that's settled down, right? What is this? When the basement looked like the ground level, that's sunken. That's to go down, nigga. So they kept telling us Atlantis sunk, like it destroyed. It was destroyed in a flood or sunk under, but sunk meant it was buried of a fucking mud flood. This is a map that clearly says Atlantis, Insula, continents, right? So Atlantis, and this is the opposite continent. It's the same shit. They both is Atlantis. Know what I mean? And look, you see the arrow? The arrow is showing you where the right side is up. So if you flip this upside down, tell your further around like this. You'll see Africa will be in Africa and America will be in America. Right? So when you put all of this Atlantis sunk underground shit, that shit does not mean collapsed, right? That shit does not mean destruction. That shit does not mean none of the shit they told us. It just basically means it went underground, nigga. That shit got covered up, to be covered, to settle lower, to subside, to descend, to go down. This is evidence. This is evidence. This is why nothing really made sense. We were like, what the fuck is, like, why the fuck are these buildings sunken? We remembering something, like, nigga, huh? So now you remember, like, hold on now. Because this whole city's underground. Like Chicago, the entire cities is raised, right? The city openly admits it raised streets 10 to 14 feet. Buildings stayed put, lower floors became underground. You can still see sidewalks, doors opening, right? Multiple stacked basements. It's fucking windows in the basement. Europe, Rome and Paris. Layers, nigga. And the bully slayer, he already went down there. He was disgusting. So go on his page and you'll see him going in them shits, finding statues and all that. Former street facing doors, now underground windows sill. Centuries ago, cities literally stacked on themselves, right? Nobody argues whether these are sunken. So across different continents, same features appear. Windows at human height, now underground. Doorways blocked by masonry. Multiple stacked layers below current street. Structural ceilings built as former floors. Streets built after buildings existed. Feel me? The ground level rose, or cities was built over itself. There is no other architectural explanation. Alright, precision check. This proves urban burial. Sunken, functional space, sunken. Lost or original street level, historical overwrite. The reset. So in New York City, streets were raised and layered. Buildings were designed or adapted to multiple grade changes. Lower floors existed before, the numbers in the way, before later street elevations, my bad, yo. New York City with bricked up or half buried windows. All right, even in New York, you will see the same shit. Window spaces continues below current sidewalk. Brick infill matches later masonry, not original facade. Side hill streets where windows disappear going uphill. All right, this is critical to your point, slope versus structure. Same building, same window rhythm, one side fully exposed, other side submerged, sunken. That only happens if grade changed after construction.
What do you mean by that? Y'all want to claim Atlantis? Bro, the fear of being African, the fear of being African, at this point, it's a disease. What do you mean? Atlanta is Atlantis. Somebody gotta come out and stop this before it gets ridiculous. Y'all got people going outside to chant, Atlanta is Atlantis. Atlanta is Atlantis. Yee! Brother, your community got a problem. This is not normal. And someone got to do something about it. That right there is the reason why we don't take y'all seriously. Now, y'all want to claim Atlantis. Y'all talking about y'all from Atlantis, a mythological place in Europe. How can more than 10 people agree that black people are from Atlantis? How? And do y'all know what's the funny part about this? I actually found a black American who was literally talking about this with passion, literally claiming that black Americans are from Atlantis.
Atlanta, current day Atlanta, was built over the capital of Atlantis.
Bro, it's getting ridiculous out here. Y'all need to get your community together.
Welcome back. You know, sometimes the biggest debates are not actually about politics or about money or about anything else. They may be just as simple as about identity. I mean, imagine waking up in the morning and discovering that people are questioning everything they thought they knew about where they came from as, you know, black people. Like who their ancestors were and how history has been taught. Like they are questioning everything about history. I mean, that's exactly why this conversation has captured, you know, so much attention online. Because, you know, for many black Americans, history is not just about the past. Okay, it's about understanding identity. It's about understanding culture, about, you know, some sense of belonging. Okay, like where do you belong to? Now, whether you agree with these ideas or maybe you completely reject them, but I think it's so important to understand the main claims being made before, you know, we make our conclusion. Because these discussions are spreading across social media faster than ever. Like, what exactly is behind all these claims? So let's break down 5, you know, biggest claims that are presented in this video. There might be more than that, but for the sake of time, yeah, let's not make, you know, the video too long. Let's just talk about the 5 claims. Now, claim number 1, Atlanta is Atlantis. I mean, just look at that. And that's probably the biggest claim, okay? Now, they are claiming to say, the modern city of Atlanta sits on top of the legendary lost city of, you know, Atlantis. And supporters are arguing that like the similarity between the names isn't just a coincidence between like Atlanta and Atlantis. And they believe Atlanta has a hidden connection to the ancient civilization. So, hearing that, I don't know what you take. What do you think? Is that true or is not? Remember, claims can be true or cannot be true. So, let me know, is it true or is not? But critics, however, say this idea has no historical or archaeological evidence that like Atlantis itself remains like a legend first described by the Greek philosopher, Plato, or other people say Plato. So I don't know, should we believe it without archaeological facts? I don't know. Claim number 2, Black Americans are descendants of Atlanteans. I mean, that's why I was saying, imagine waking up only to hear what you've been told, what you've been believing about your ancestor, your origin. It's not as you used to believe. Now, in the video, several speakers argue that Black Americans are not only connected to Atlantis, but are, directly descendants of that civilization we are talking about. Now, according to these claims, Atlanteans were spiritually advanced, okay? They were spiritually advanced. They were highly intelligent, and, they, possessed the knowledge that was eventually lost after their civilization collapsed. Like, they were like the artificial intelligence in a human form. So that's what people are trying to argue, especially in the comment section. But others in the discussion completely reject this. They say Black Americans' history, the history of them is already rich, it's already documented, and doesn't need the mythical origins to be meaningful. People know about the actual, origin of Black people, their history, all those things. Nobody has to come and try to rewrite it. Now, claim number 3, much of the Asian history has been hidden or rewritten. There is somebody who say, I think some of the things that we have been told is not necessarily like it. It's like it's not true. Now, that's another major claim. Okay, and it says that events before the 1500s or like 1700s were deliberately altered, like they were adjusted, okay, they were modified, they were erased or completely fabricated for in their own favor, those people who were doing all this. Now, people making this argument point to, subjects like, Tartaria, mud floods, and, Asian civilizations. And they're believing that true history of humanity has been intentionally hidden. But who made it hidden? I mean, what can be the purpose behind hiding it? I don't know. I just don't know. And historians, on the other hand, generally do not accept these ideas as established history, saying they are not supported by mainstream historical evidence or any archaeological evidence. But yeah, claim is a claim. Let me know so far, what claim do you think makes sense, or what claim do you think was supposed to be added on this? Now, claim number 4, Africa and Atlantis are closely connected. I mean, let's talk about it. What exactly is happening? You see, in the video, some speakers suggest that Atlantis may have been, located near Africa, especially around, Richard structure in, Mauritania, also known as the Eye of the Sahara. So people are having that kind of argument. They argue that the area's secular appearance resembles like Plato's description of the Atlantis itself, and that survivors later migrated into different parts of Africa. I don't know, is that true? Yeah, while that is being said, this theory has also attracted worldwide interest. Archaeologists have not reached a consensus, like any actual conclusion that the Richard structure was Atlantis. So yeah, that's the most interesting part about history. Today we can, for example, history can tell us there were 3 people who did something. But as years goes, as more and more archaeologists dig deeper, they will find out that no, they were not 5. They were not that. They didn't actually do this according to, so that's the best part about history. Anything can change anytime. Now, claim number 5, black history has been misunderstood for generations. And I think this one can make sense. Even in most of black Americans, they normally say this, that even until today, white people don't understand the black history. Actually, most of them don't even want to understand it, because they know the moment they understand it, they will be forced to, to consider black people. They will be forced to, to feel sorry and be like, oh, you guys, I think, yeah, you deserve it. You guys, I think you deserve to be recognized. All those things. So people choose deliberately not to, look into the history, because, for their own, selfish reasons. Now, throughout the discussion, many speakers expressed the belief that black people have been separated from their true historical identity. I don't know how true is that, but, some people believe that important parts of their heritage were erased, were modified in the favor of other people, not in the favor of black people. While others are arguing that searching for mythical origins distracts, from the well-documented achievements of African civilizations and black history. It's not only about Atlantis, I think. It's about identity. It's about history and the desire to understand where people truly, come from. Now, coming to this end, what do you think, brothers and sisters? Do you believe any of these claims deserve more investigation, or no, they don't need any investigation? They are fact, they are true, we don't need to question, we just have to believe it. What do you think? Do you think the evidence simply are not really convincing, like what these claims and the evidence provided to suggest that claim? Let everyone know in the comments below, because when you put a comment, other people also read it. Let us know, what do you think? Do you believe as a black person you came from there, or you came from somewhere else? Mention it. It's about how you understand your history. Remember, nobody can tell your history, even if that is true, but you have the right to have your own belief, to have your own history. Like, no, in as far as I'm concerned, I didn't come from this. Okay? That's it. This is why other black Americans reject to be called African Americans. Okay? For their own reasons. Others will accept it. Okay? So, we don't know. We don't know. Let's just discuss down in the comment section. Let's keep it respectful. And, at the end of the day, we really need to understand one another. Because I think history can tell us so many things today. Tomorrow it can tell us another one. So we shouldn't use these new discoveries as things to divide us. Okay, it shouldn't. It should just give us a new way to think. Okay. So anyway, brothers and sisters, if this is your first time, please don't forget to subscribe. Turn on the notification bell, because we have more thought-provoking conversations coming your way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.